Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kyle Davis, and today we're going to be going over Family Processor new features that we've added. All these new features are requested by you, the client. So if you have any features you would like to request, please definitely provide those. We do have in the tool itself that you can request those features, and we do look into them to add, and maybe you'll be shown in one of these in the future. So here are a list of the new features that we will be covering. I'm going to first just kind of talk about the features, and then we'll get into Revit and I'll actually show these. I'm actually going to be showing two versions back. We haven't done a new features presentation on this, so I'm going to be covering some of the older ones just in case you haven't been using the 2017, the 17.0.6. The latest is 17.0.7, so if you want all these new features, please download and install that version. But again, I'm going to be covering all of these that are listed individually here, and then we'll get into Revit. And just as a note, just a reminder, there is a question panel, so if you do have any questions as we go, please provide your questions and we will answer them either as we go or toward the end of the webinar. The first new feature included in the latest is the ability to import lookup tables. There will be a new tab, the lookup table tab, and it has two tabs underneath to delete lookup tables and import lookup tables. What's nice about this feature is you can utilize this to import a lookup table into quite a bit of your families at once, so that you don't have to manually go through and add those lookup tables into your families. Now again, this is utilizing the new feature of Revit that you can actually bring the lookup table directly into the family without having to put it into a folder. This goes in here, and this new feature was in 2014, so if you Revit 2014. So if you haven't tried that yet, look into opening the family, and there'll be a button that says Manage Lookup Tables, and that's what we're doing here. Is we're just adding that ability to bring those lookup tables into your families and also remove them if they're no longer needed. The next new feature is the ability to change the processing order. This is a really awesome new feature that we added to be able to change how the processing order goes. Before in the past, we kind of went by tab order. Now we actually have the ability to swap the things around. The examples of this would be if you wanted to replace an existing shared parameter with an original parameter if it was found, but the parameter is not found. So then you can add the shared parameter, and then this ensures that the replace parameter will exist in the family so that it can be replaced with the original. So this makes it so much easier to do the processes you wanted to do. So if you wanted to add a shared parameter, and then maybe there's another one that you wanted to add a formula, but you can't add the formula because you didn't add the shared parameter yet. So this ensures the ability to do all that and change the order you want to process. The next one is we have the ability to change the preview image. This was added because we have so many things with how Revit just gives us the preview image, but now you can actually set what preview image you want to list. So you can select from the list, or you can type in a custom name. So if the preview image, or if you have a view in the family that you're using as your startup, it has a name of the view you want to use, you can pick that from a list, or you can type in a name. And what the tool will do is it will then look at that family and it will find that view, and it will set that as the preview image, so that when you look in Windows Explorer or in Revit itself, that preview image is what you wanted compared to what it was just set to. We also added the ability to export the shared parameters that are found in the families. This will save out the unique parameters so that you can run this on manufacturer's content to then save out those shared parameters just in case you do need them to either be able to add to your other families or be able to get a list of what parameters you need to replace. So having that ability to export that out is very handy. Also, we added the feature to create type catalogs based on what's found in the families. However, we also have the ability to delete the types in the family. So once it exports and creates that type catalog, it can then go back and also delete the types that are in the family so that you don't have duplicates in the family and in the type catalog. You also have the include instant parameters. So if it finds an instant parameter, we have that in the share parameter file as well. Also, just the sort parameters alphabetically. This is a nice one, so you can have that organized. Or if it's however it's found inside the type, it's how it will pull them out. Also, you have it sort type alphabetically, so it will find all the types in the family and then sort them. Also, you can save out as a CSV file, so it saves it to Excel so that you can open that in Excel for any kind of modification. Now, just as a note for deleting the type, it is not generally recommended because if you need the type catalog later or need to process it, we just have added that ability to do that. We also added now a feature to change what category the families are. Now this one, as a note, is to use very cautiously because when you change the family category, this can change a lot of things inside the family, such as the object styles, the materials can get all kind of messed up. So you don't want to be doing this just randomly, but we did add this ability for that. And also, you could lose built-in parameters that come with a particular category. For example, doors has fire rating. So if you change that to casework, then you lose that fire rating parameter. But we also have here in this with the change categories the ability to say it's a 3D or an annotation. So you get to pick which one you're doing and what you want to change it out to. The next one is the ability to set a keynote file for the family so that you can use that when you bring into a project. You can set that keynote either in the parameters that you're adding or inside when you add it to the project, you have your keynote specified inside the family file. So we have an option for the file location, what type of path it is, whether it's relative or absolute, to help with your keynotes inside the families. We also added the feature to change units. This one was requested quite a bit to be able to specify a units that you want for all your families for the different types of units for length and area and calculations and volumes and so on. So you can specify a family that you want to take the units for, and what we'll do is we'll then map all the units to be the exact same as what you specified from the family. Also, this one does include the number decimal places that you want it to round to so that your units and your unit symbols and so on. So it takes out all the units. And the next one is the text casing. We added the ability to do uppercase, lowercase, or title casing for the values. Now, this is not the parameters. This is just the values of those parameters so that you can have those be in a certain format you want. Now, this is only for text-based parameters because of the uppercase, lowercase, that we can only do those as values. So text-based, URL, multi-line text, things like that. Not numbers. Those are just numbers, so they're not case sensitive. So you can't do that with numbers. And the next one here is the auto replace shared with name and type. This one is the replace with the shared parameter. Great feature to automatically replace all parameters found in the family with matching name and type found in the shared parameter file. An example of this is you download a ton of content from a manufacturer or wherever you go to get your content. In those families, they have a parameter name and type, but you want it to be yours instead of theirs. Which, with this setting checked, Family Processor will see that match. It will look and see if it matches the name and type of parameter. So if it's like an area, it has to be an area. So if it, you have to have those exactly the same name and same thing, like voltage is voltage. So those have to match exact. It's not just text-based. And this will let you then use this to process all your families to do that for you without you having to manually say and go and replace this one and pick from a huge list of what you want to map. It will do it for you. So let's actually get into Revit and show these features. So first thing is, I'm just going to go ahead and open a family and I'll show you what the interface looks like and show you the different tabs. So again, on the BIM Manager, Family Processor. So again, with some of these features you do if you wanted to open up a family that has the parameters and has the units or things like that that you wanted to grab from automatically, that would be a recommendation to do. Here I'm just opening up a sample one. So again, here on the family level processing, here's that ability to change what category you want it to do. So if I wanted all these to be casework, I can change that to casework. But if I'm processing my 2D, my annotations, I have that annotation where I can change it to be a tag or a generic annotation or anything like that. And then here's the set lookup table where I can now browse to a location of where I want that to be pulled from. And then I can, again, set the path to absolute, relative, or at library location. Now, if we hit the browse, this does default to a location where I can now browse to. So if I have a Keynote file located somewhere, I would want to probably have the at library location. So if I hit the go to the browse, I would want that to come from there. That would be recommended for your families because now it's easier to find instead of having relative because it's relative to the family rather than to the project. So you'd want that to at library location. Now here is the set all units of measure, and again I can select where I want this to come from. So if I browse to a family, it will then find all the units in there and I can now map those so that it will look the same for all my families instead of having to have some be in certain units and some be in another units. It converts all that. Also, another one for this one I forgot to mention is that the ability to switch between metric and imperial and vice versa, so that you, for those that are using metric or download metric content, you can convert it to imperial. And then here's the text casing. I can switch it here to all uppercase, all lowercase, or title casing. Again, title casing is the first letter of each word is capitalized, whereas the rest of it's lowercase. So that's the family level processing tab. The next tab is the lookup tables. And in here I have the delete lookup table. So if I wanted to specify a type of lookup table name, so I can say if you find this lookup table in any of the families, go ahead and delete it. Now you do have to know the name of that lookup table. So if you have to open up a family to be able to find it, look at it, and then you can use that to delete. Now again, if you have in the current family, it will show up in the list over here because lookup table found in current family. So if this family had that table you wanted to delete, you could do that. So it'll help you be able to get that list. Now, if you have that current family open and you go to processing, you will have to close that family down and open up another one because of the we can't process the family you're doing if it's already open. And then import lookup tables. So here I can browse for a file to add. So I can browse out to the lookup tables and select from a list to add those to the families. and then you can use some of the other tabs to then utilize that lookup table in a formula so that when you apply it to the family, that formula is going to work because the lookup table is there. So again, that's one of the next ones we'll go into about the processing order, is where you can utilize the processing order to add the lookup tables first, and then you can then come back and use it as adding it to a formula or a shared parameter so that it utilizes that lookup table. So again, that's where the next feature here of the processing order allows you to do that functionality so that you can have something in place before you do something else. Because as we know in Revit, if you try to utilize something that's not there, it doesn't work out very well. And on the Select Families and Begin tab, down here at the bottom is where some of those other features are, such as the override, the preview image utilizing the view with this name. So again, if I come over here into this drop-down list, it's going to show me a list of views in the type of the family I'm in. And if it's not a view in this particular family, again, I can give it a custom name. So if I wanted to name this Preview 1, I can do that. Or if I want it to be certain elevation view or something like that, as long as I have a name I want to try for. Now, if we go after that family and it does not have that view in there, we go after the default that Revit gives us. So wherever the default it was, it will go after that. And then the one underneath is the create new shared parameters from unique found in the family. So all I'm doing here is I will browse to pick a folder of where I want that shared parameter file to be saved. Once it processes and finds them, it will then export them. Now, what we do have it saved, however, is just a default name, exported shared parameters. So once you have that file been saved out, it's just going to look for that particular file, and you can utilize that somewhere else. The other one here underneath is create type catalog files. And then here we have all the different options underneath this one to delete the types in the family, or keep them. Again, it is recommended to not delete the types in the family just in case you want to come back and create the type catalogs later as well, utilizing it again. And then include instant parameters. So even if there's an instant parameter in there you want to set by default, so you can have that included. You can sort the parameters again alphabetically so that all the parameters are in alphabetical order. Otherwise, it's whatever first parameter we find is what's going to be in there. And then the sort types alphabetically. So if you open up a family and it has in a certain order, we export it and you can have it sort alphabetically. Otherwise, we go after whatever is found in Revit in that order. And then save as a CSV. So this will export out as a CSV so that you can open it in Excel, make some modifications in the Excel format, and then save it and then change it or convert it to a TXT. Now I forgot to mention when we were going through the new features that we also have here the exclude parameters with names, including separate with characters. Wildcard searches are supported, so the little asterisk or the little star symbol lets you search for something to exclude certain parameters that you don't want it to be in there. For example, if you have some parameters that utilize the kind of sometimes when we're creating content, we'll put in some control parameters that are controlling something. So we say don't export those control parameters because we don't need them in our type catalogs because they're just they're in the family controlling it, doing formulas. So we can exclude those parameters from being included in the type catalog. So that is the new features here of the Revit Family Processor. At this time, are there any questions that you're having on these new features that we went over? Okay, well, in conclusion, again, these are the new features that we've put into the software based on your feedback and your feature requests. So please submit any feature requests that you do have for any of our tools, including Family Processor. So with the features that we've added, updating families is easier than ever. We have added these features for your benefit to make changes that you would normally take you days or hours to do only in a few minutes. You can set this to go and let it go. So again, these are your requests that make it easier for you.